politics, nothing happens out of mere coincidence. Everything in politics is normally well scripted, well planned, and well executed to achieve specific political objectives. A few days ago, Mutula Kilonzo Sr., the former Minister for Constitutional Affairs, resurfaced again in this country. Mutula Kilonzo resurfaced through a video. And in that video, Mutula Kilonzo is captured talking about ICC. And I remember asking one of my friends the objective of that particular video and the timing. Because that video was actually released at a time when Paul Gisheru, a man accused of interfering with ICC witnesses during trial, had actually surrendered to ICC. So the timing of that video was intended to achieve certain political objectives. And then the next day, the headline of the Standard newspaper was faked and circulated online. And in that headline, this is what it was saying. You'd imagine that the headline is actually true. This is what the headline said. Gisheru to ICC. I know who eliminated Mutula Kilonzo. So that headline and the story was actually intended also to achieve specific political objectives. And yesterday, over 118 potential witnesses, underline that, witnesses, recorded statements with the DCI. That's serious political development in this country. And it reminds me of Oscar Sudi. I've always maintained on this platform that there are two individuals in this country, Dennis Itumbi and Oscar Sudi. Those are the guys who would always speak for the Deputy President William Ruto. Oscar Sudi is on record of talking about ICC. Listen in to Oscar Sudi very briefly, because I want us to analyze the objective of this particular political development and the tough questions which Kenyans must ask. Listen in to Oscar Sudi very briefly.
Niliona gazeti ya Star. Niliona gazeti ya Star jana imeandika ya kwamba wanataka sijui kuuliza maswali kuhusu mambo ya Kiambaa kanisani kule watu walichomeka. Mimi nataka niwajibu hao wakora wenye waliweka hayo maneno katika hiyo gazeti. Mwaka jana niliongea kuhusu maneno ya Hague. Yenye mnaona haya maneno ya Hague inaendelea sasa. Hatujui waliambia ule wakili Kisharu waenda afanye nini kule Hague. Mwezi mmoja na nusu iliyopita niliwaambia kwamba kuna maaskari wametumwa kutoka kule Nairobi wakuje watafute files ya Eldoret ya machufuko ya 207-208 wakapeleka kule Nairobi. Na pia vile ule alikuwa OCBD wetu wa hapa Eldoret Town Central Police Station by then Mr. Karuru alikuwa ametumwa kule Hague. Mimi nataka niambie hawa wakora. Nataka niambie Nancy Kitau na timu yako.
No, that's Oscar Sudi. Oscar Sudi has been making a lot of noise about these ICC cases being revived. Is Oscar Sudi being vindicated? And what are some of the questions which allies of the Deputy President William Samoei Ruto must ask themselves? The first question which they must ask themselves is who transported these large numbers of people to Nairobi? We are talking of 118 people traveling to record a statement at the DCI headquarters. So 118 people traveled or were transported to the DCI headquarters to record a statement. A bus normally carries around 50 people. I'm talking of those big buses. So in this case, assuming 2 buses will carry 100, and then the other 18, maybe half of it. But because of COVID, there are new regulations. Buses don't even carry half of their capacity. So which means these guys might have been transported using 4 buses. So the question is, who transported this large number of people to Nairobi? And were they from specific area? Were they from Rift Valley? And if they were from Rift Valley, were they from Eldoret? Or were some from Naivasha? That's one question they must ask themselves. Because according to Kinoti, the day was not planned. But who transported these people?
Today is a day we never planned for, but you can see the way it has turned out, in as much as we expected a few people from the field where we went some 2-3 weeks ago, but I can say the turnout has been beyond what we were expecting.
So that's the first question. The second question which they must ask themselves is, who facilitated Paul Gisheru to ICC? To do what? Oscar Sudi was very clear that DCI sent people to Eldoret to collect some information. And even some retired officers had been sent to The Hague. Assuming Oscar Sudi is right, so we have 2 people at The Hague. Who facilitated Paul Gisheru to ICC? In exchange of what? So that's the second question which allies of the deputy president William Samoei Ruto. I want you to listen keenly because there are objectives of this move which I'm going also to explain. But that's the second question which they must ask themselves. The fourth question, no, this is for general Kenyans and for your own consumption. You leave it or you take it. What was William Ruto's real mission to Dubai? Now that's another question. Because when he went to Dubai, and I did a video about that, there were possibilities that he went to network because of meeting with Atiku Abubakar and his associate. That probably he went on a vacation with the family. Remember, Rachel Ruto was there. But again, I don't think vacation would have just ended very briefly like that. Again, we said maybe to raise money for campaigns or maybe business. But after what happened today, I have a different idea. Probably the deputy president went to Dubai to meet with his foreign lawyers. That's the reality, in my view. I mean, it's a possibility, not the reality. So he went there to meet with the lawyers. And why am I speculating? He was with Hassan Omar to Dubai. Hassan Omar was accused by Uhuru Kenyatta allies and William Ruto for procuring witnesses, because he was also the chairperson of the Kenya Human Rights Commission. So he was with him. So probably they were meeting with the lawyers. I'm not saying that's what they were doing, but I'm now just thinking hard, politically speaking. I can't rule out that the lawyers, the foreign lawyers, can travel to Dubai, the DP travel to Dubai, Then they camouflage that meeting with Atiku Abubakar, with the family meeting. And then they met. So the DP came back, the guys left. That's a possibility. But that's the question which you must ask. The fifth question, which the allies of the Deputy President William Ruto must ask themselves, is what was the motive of building several police stations in hotspots areas in Rift Valley? Have they figured out why that was done? And have they done their own analysis and figured out that probably the main reason why this was done was to beef up security? Or were they targeting specific political objectives with those particular police stations? Swalanyeti. So William Ruto's allies must ask themselves those tough 5 questions. After asking themselves those 5 questions, then they must remember one thing, that the only thing which brought Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto together was the ICC. Without ICC, Uhuru and Ruto would not have been together. And the other thing they must also remember is that the people of Central Kenya embraced William Ruto because he was supporting President Uhuru Kenyatta. And because President Uhuru Kenyatta was being persecuted in courts. For doing what? For protecting the Kikuyus in Rift Valley from attacks. Because if you followed the ICC trial, Uhuru Kenyatta was accused of organizing those retaliatory attacks. And I'm on record, let me just make it clear, that if I were the guy making some decisions in this country, I would not revive the ICC story. Raila Odinga should not allow ICC story to be revived. Ruto should not, and Uhuru should not revive ICC story. It's 12 good years. 12 good years is a long time for people to heal. If you couldn't find these people 12 years ago, and those who were willing to be witnesses were eliminated, nobody has told us how and where. So it would be in the good interest of the country. My personal opinion, I could be wrong, because I know that those who believe that justice needs to be served. But in my considered opinion, the country has moved on. But what could be the objective of the latest political development in this country? The ICC story. Why are these people being asked to write a record statement? Why are they being facilitated? In my view, 3 or 4 reasons. Number one, these guys are keen on creating a wedge between William Ruto and Central Kenya. Uhuru Kenyatta brought Ruto to Central Kenya. Ruto is currently kicking out Uhuru Kenyatta from Central Kenya. This case is going to remind the people of Central Kenya that Uhuru Kenyatta was their savior. And the guy Uhuru Kenyatta was defending them from was Ruto. This move is going to have political impact on William Ruto and even on Raila Odinga. This is how it's going to have impact on William Ruto. William Ruto used ICC to win the Kalenjins. Uhuru used the ICC to solidify his Central Kenya base and to whip emotions. If these cases are going to be revived, it will mean that in Rift Valley, the Kalenjins are going to be solidified around William Ruto. They are going to support William Ruto. They are going to defend William Ruto. But what would be the effect of that? The Kikuyus in diaspora and the Kikuyus the other side will think otherwise. Because remember, Nakuru was affected. Nyandarua was affected. Those are areas surrounded by Kalenjins. Nyandarua, you talk of Nakuru. And there are people whose lands were taken away. So far, I'm not sure whether they were compensated, whether they were given back their land. What I know is that one recently died. So that's number one. Number two, I think this is a straightforward message from the system to William Ruto. That we can do anything. We can decide to do anything, even if it means stopping you. Remember Francis Atwoli and his statement about the name William Ruto not being on the ballot. Start scratching your heads because it might be a possibility. The third political objective is that this move is actually intended to slow down William Samoei Ruto's march to State House. He had laid enough ground for everything. He was just ready, with or without the support of President Uhuru Kenyatta. So today, if these cases are going to be revived, he's going to start fighting several political wars. And his allies are already reacting. Let me read for you the reaction from Kipchumba Murkomen. From Kipchumba Murkomen, who is a legal advisor to the deputy president. He's saying the statement by DCI is a desperate move by the system after failing in all their efforts to bring down the DP. They want to incite violence against communities in Rift Valley and especially Eldoret to weaken DP's political strength in Mount Kenya. They may even burn houses or eliminate people. From that statement alone, it is clear that this particular move is actually slowing down the Deputy President William Samoei Ruto. And this is how it's going to slow him down. Instead of focusing on his 2022 presidential bid, he's now going to be forced to deal with this particular matter. He's going to be forced to probably even talk to Raila Odinga. Because one thing we must agree to is that so far, none of the ODM victims ever got compensations. Maybe those from Rift Valley. But from Nyanza, none ever got compensated. While the government actually released billions and billions of money, even to purchase land, even to pay them. My own sister was a victim. So he will have to try to pursue those paths. And that's why I'm looking at someone like Hassan Omar and even Eliud Owalo. Probably that's why they were recruited into that team. Because they know these people. They can agree and bring them forth and say, okay, there was violence in Rift Valley, Eldoret. But in Kisumu, people were maimed. In Kibra, the same. In Mathare, the same. Again, instead of focusing on his presidential bid, he will be focusing on dealing with this particular matter, hiring the lawyers, dealing with the witnesses, trying to persuade some of them not to record their statement. Because remember, in the during the previous time, he was lucky because he was with the system. So the system did not protect some of the witnesses. This time around, and from George Kinoti's statement, it is clear that the system is actually going to protect some of the system. I mean, some of the witnesses. And lastly, I'm also looking at it as a strategy to force him to support the Building Bridges Initiative process. Let us wait and see what's going to happen on Thursday. Because it can't be coincidence. Because on this platform, I'm on record maintaining that in politics, nothing happens out of mere coincidence. The day George Kinoti was making this particular announcement is the same day the BBI Secretariat issued a statement announcing that the collection of signatures will actually happen tomorrow. Let me hear your thoughts on this matter. Thank you guys, and please, may you have a good day.